Overall, I think that the main thing a musician would like to do is give to the listener the many wonderful things he knows of and senses in the universe. That's what I would like to do. I think that's one of the greatest things you can do in life. And we all try to do that in some way. The musician's is through his music, his and her, I should say. And last but not least, God breathes through us so completely, so gently, we hardly feel it, yet it is our everything.
Thank you, Dr. Turner, for that great introduction and also for organizing this event. My name is Timothy Lovett. I am the director for the Center of Anti-Racism. That's where we are right now. The Center for Anti-Racism is Temple's hub for anti-racist activity, and our mission is simply to support the fight against racism. We do that with scholarship, community engagement, and public education. And we're thrilled to be able to host this event today. There are a few people who have had a towering impact like John Coltrane. Had he lived, he would have seen his 98th birthday on Monday. But in the time where he was living, he helped to reshape the parameters of jazz, to reinvigorate our understanding of the power of music, and so beautifully illustrated how we can communicate emotions, thoughts, and spirituality without words. And so with that, today we're going to celebrate the icon, the titan that was John Coltrane, who spent 15 years of his life in the city. We're going to hear a lecture from the esteemed Lovett Hines. We're also going to hear some music playing and also have an opportunity to fellowship with each other. We have some refreshments. Feel free to partake in those, but just wanted to thank you all for coming today. We're really thrilled to host this event and look forward to seeing you at other things.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lovett Hines. Lovett Hines. And one of the things I'm so proud about is celebrating great artists. Because the artists, the musicians and the visual artists, or the literary artists, it's something really special about those people, okay? I can say us. One of the things that was so, I think, impactful in my life is that I was lucky enough to have a parent who was in the arts. She really kept it quiet, my mother. And the way that I knew she loved it was later in life. But one of the things that was kind of, I guess, as a secret, it wasn't a secret, it was obvious, but I didn't see it at the time, is that she would always be the one who took the whole neighborhood, me and my friends, to the art museum, to the zoo, to the Museum of Natural History, to the Heritage House that was on, I think, Broad and Master Street, that had art and dance and music, and I was part of that. But anything, the Christmas cotillions, we were all involved in that. She made me take piano lessons. Matter of fact, when my teacher came to the house, Miss Juanita Bradley, who played piano at the church, and I was blessed with that, and I'll tell you why. She said he has to take, I was 6 years old, had to take piano lessons, and what happened, when she came to the house, of course I ran behind the chair, behind the couch to hide, and she would pull me out, and it was a little capital punishment, because if I hit something wrong, I'd get smacked on the hand, right? So, but one of the things that she did, Juanita Bradley was strong in theory. And she wrote down the fundamentals of music. My mother went over that every day, over and over and over and over again, until I memorized the order of sharps and flats, the notation, the value of notes. And my father used to take me around and say, "Little Hines, tell them how many sharps in the key of G," you know. And I would say it, and I think, "Oh, man, a little genius." But I wasn't. That's what drilled me. But it came from love of the arts. Now, one of the things that I was reading by John Coltrane is that migration from North Carolina. My mother and my father. My father from Kinston, North Carolina. My mother's from Enfield, North Carolina. Okay? In 1943, I was born in Philadelphia. In 1943, John Coltrane, from Hamlet, North Carolina, raised in High Point, came to Philadelphia with his family, his mother and his cousin Mary. And the address of their house was 1511 33rd Street. The address of my house was 1611 Bourne Street at 12th and Oxford Street. So when I looked at that, I said, well, there's a kinship. There's something really, really special about that. Okay? And that's why John Coltrane has been part of my life. But the most important thing, we talk about that art. The art continues to grow. And as I started to get more into music and talking to musicians and producing and teaching, one of the things I started forming my philosophy. People say, well, what do you do to make your young people play the way? You know, how do you introduce music to young people and keep them involved in it? The picture on the flyer is 3 of my students. Jaleel Shaw, Christian McBride, and Emmanuel Wilkins. And if you look at that picture, that's the generation. Christian McBride was my first student at Selden Music School. When I started at Clef Club, I started with 2 students. The 2 students were Jaleel Shaw and Dawood El-Bakari. Later on, as we started to develop, and I got more students, then I got this young man came in at 7 years old, and his father said, look, I'm a trombone player, but my son is trying to play everything. He's playing guitar, he's playing violin, and I want to put him in your program. At 8 years old, the young man was playing around about midnight with a big band. So, everybody asked me, did you see that coming? Did you see these people going to be stars? At first I said no. When Christian came to my program, I needed a little bass player, and I asked him to audition by playing the blues. He played the blues form wrong. Okay? He left out the 4. It went from 1 to 5. I said, okay. All right, but I needed a bass player so much, I took him in the program. The next young man, Jaleel Shaw, when his mother came, had him playing. Of course, we would go out and do concerts, and he would play like a 7-year-old, 8-year-old. But his mother said, Miss Hines, I love you so well, because every time they would play and take a solo, they wouldn't be playing anything, but you would tell them, oh, you're killing the people, you're wrecking them. They come back, oh, Mr. Hines, we are, yeah. And the thing with Emmanuel, the same thing. But what happened with those young people, and this is where we're going to get to training, it was constant development. We hear of the regiment of John Coltrane practicing. Constant development. Constant development is drawn by some inspiration inside to get better. Always saying, I'm trying to help my young people find their artistic voices or their creative voices. All of these people, all these young artists, wherever they start, have a voice. And some of those voices are more creative than others. John Coltrane for one, Emmanuel Wilkins for one, Christian McBride, Jaleel Shaw. And that voice keeps them working and developing. John Coltrane rehearsed and played all the time. Charlie Parker did too, but they don't tell it in the movie. All you see is getting high and playing and staying drunk and doing all those things. When did he practice? He got practice because he got embarrassed on the bandstand. Same thing. It's something that makes these young people, make these artists continue to develop. I did a show when I was featuring Sonny Fortune. And Sonny Fortune, it was a John Coltrane. That's when I was working with Arnold Boyd and the Train Stop here at Temple. So we wanted to bring in Sonny Fortune, and we had Sonny Fortune on one side of the stage. We had Odin Pope on the other side of the stage, and Roy Haynes in the middle. That was the show. Now, Sonny Fortune said, Lovett, I'm not going to play John Coltrane. I said, why? He said, because I can't play John Coltrane. I don't even practice John Coltrane. I learn his songs, but this is what I do. I get inspired by John Coltrane. I can't practice those hours that John Coltrane put in. But if I do half the work that John Coltrane, I can find my voices. So that was Sonny Fortune's inspiration. On the other side was Odin Pope. And Odin Pope grew up in the neighborhood. He grew up in this community. John Coltrane, when he came to Philadelphia, he went to Randolph School for music lessons. And he continued to take music lessons. Dennis Sandoli was one of his teachers for years. And one of the things that we found out, there was other young guys around the city in Philadelphia, the Heath brothers, who rehearsed in their house. And rehearsing down in South Philadelphia. Benny Golson up in Germantown. So he had this inspiration. So all of that constant development, constant searching, when I look at my kids, if I can get them to be inspired like that, then people ask me, well, how did you see what I saw as a constant development? I saw the inspiration. I found the search for their voices. Now, one of the things I've been so proud of with these young people, that I still have young people, and you're going to hear some of the young people that I'm going to bring out. And the same thing with them, each one of them, except one is not one of my young people. He's like my peers. And he called me up and said, Lovett, you're speaking up at Temple? I said, yes. He said, well, I'm going to come and see. I said, no, bring your horn. I want you to perform. And he's going to be with us today. Bobby Zanko, he teaches with me. Bobby Zanko is in the mold. And he hears the same, and everybody hears different, but you can hear similarities of the influence of John Coltrane. Now, one of the things that I had so much I was going to tell you, and I worked on it, and I worked on it, and I forgot about one incident that was so impactful, and this is it. We talk about art. My first love was visual art. Matter of fact, my degree was from the Philadelphia College of Art. Unfortunately, that's not there anymore. As illustrator, illustration, and graphic design. So this is mine. I did this poster. And this was for the Change of the Century Orchestra that we produced at WHYY. The Change of the Century Orchestra, and you have a chance, you can walk around and see it. The Change of the Century Orchestra came to us by Steve Rowland. We wanted to do a concert. He said, Lovett, you doing something for John Coltrane? We got a group here in Philadelphia that's going to give me something special. I said, what is it? He said, Sonny Murray and Con Jamal has this group called the Change of the Century Orchestra. And we have a composer named Romulus Frescatini, who wrote out an arrangement. One of the arrangements was Africa, Lazy Bird, and it was another one that we put, and you can see it, Lonely Street. So those are the three songs we started off with. But in that group, in that wonderful group we pulled together in Philadelphia, of course, Sonny Murray, Con Jamal, Manette Sutler, Odin Pope, Mitty Milliton, Gratian McClure III, Dave Burrell. Who was on that? Wait a minute. David Murray, John Stubblefield, Sonny Fortune, Fred Ho, Razul Sadiq, Ted Daniels, James Zoller, Raymond Harris, John Sauce, John Blake, we said Manette Sutherland, Dave Burrell, Reggie Workman, Con Jamal, Sonny Murray, of course, Ed Blackwell, and Rashi Ali. All of those musicians came for one reason, to celebrate not the music so much, but the inspiration and love and the gift of creativity that John Coltrane gave us. And then right after that, we got called to go to Berlin. And in Berlin, we were asked to do the same thing over again. So we did that concert twice. And I almost forgot how impactful that was. You know, but when I look back on my life, I look how blessed I have been. From going to the art museum and by my mother being so interested in the art and pulling me into the arts, by meeting Cousin Mary, by listening to Giant Steps. And one of the things that was so hip when we were coming up, we was comparing music. So when I first started playing saxophone, one of the songs I played was So What? Later on, I'm directing a band, Better Break Music Camp. And I had this young man who talked about creativity and constant development. The little young man who was playing bass and only could play part of the blues form, now he's playing upright. He's playing giant steps on piano. He's doing everything, okay? So we're doing So What? And I'm getting ready to direct So What? And one of the parts of So What, when you buy the sheet music or you buy a chart for young people, not the professional charts you buy for scholastic bands, okay? The first solo, the section at the very top of Paul Chambers and Bill Evans, it's not written in that. So I raise my hand and I hear this part, this Paul Chambers part. And I'm looking around, who's doing that? Okay? And little Christians, oh, Mr. Hines, just laugh. So I could have been a nasty director. So wait a minute, it's not in the music. But one of the things I think my kids always do is say, Mr. Hines, you never say no to us. So I say, don't mess it up, you got it. And then later on I ask him, how did you learn that? We just listened to it. Who did it? Paul Chambers. Oh, you listen to Paul? No, I listen to Paul Chambers. All right, who else did it? Okay. Bill Evans, who's the piano player. Who wrote it? Gil Evans wrote that section for So What? Now, as the teacher, I was so embarrassed because that's not the information I gave them, but they found it on their own, constant development. And that has continued with Christian. And it continues. So now, I'm directing the band and I get this idea. Let me put two songs together that John Coltrane was involved with. So you have So What and Impressions. Impressions and So What are based on the same changes. How many people know what changes mean? Okay. Changes are chords in the music. So what happens, it goes from note to note, and that's called it changes. Okay, so we call that changes. So you have form in music just like you have form in art. The form of So What is A, repeat the same chord, then B, then A. So 16 bars of A, 8 bars of B, then go 8 bars again. So What is the same thing. So you got two great artists being influenced by each other. But the great thing about that is that style of music from bebop to hard bop, Impressions, So What, was the new form of music called horizontal changes, okay, modal music. But modal music, because everything is stretched out, gives you a chance to really express yourself. And again, constant development. So I can actually go on and on and on, but I don't want to do that. I'm going to give some space and I want to be instructional. But you can see what John Coltrane means to me. We can talk about so many things. If I had a young group, the first thing I say to the young group, so y'all cats in the hip hop, yeah, it's time to be in hip hop. Okay. You know the father of hip hop, where he got inspired? Because my son came and told me, he said, yeah, Dad, did you know about Rakim? I said, no, you need to read up about it. Rakim used to listen to John Coltrane. He saw the rhythms, the polyrhythms, okay, and he used that in hip hop. So he became the father of hip hop. So you can't get away from John. And that's why that's so inspirational. So if you don't remember anything else, please remember my secret and our young people who keep making this music move forward. I got a picture of, let me show you this real quick. I want you to look at this. I'm going to give you one of these, okay? I had a real bad day. One of my kids, Henry McMillan, said, Mr. Hines, how you feeling? I said, I got a problem. Oh, and my dear wife, she's been really ill. And I want everybody to say a prayer for me, get the chance to call Washington, who's been on this journey with me. So we had just come from the doctor, got some good news, but I was feeling low. So he said, Lovett, Godfather, we got something special. How you feeling? I said, I'm okay. He said, look at Downbeat. One of your kids is on the cover of Downbeat. So I looked at Downbeat, and on the corner was Emmanuel Wilkins. Now, Emmanuel Wilkins, you'll give him a hand because he's one of yours too. And friends, that's another thing. When you hear these names, and you hear Christian McBride, the artistic director of Montclair Jazz Festival, the artistic director of the Newport Jazz Festival. You should feel really proud because these are your kids. He's from West Philadelphia. He's from Philadelphia. That's your kid. Manuel Wilkins is yours. He's from Upper Darby, but he came to Philadelphia to be with me. Okay. But one of the things that this says, the 25 for the future. And that's our future right there. Okay. And the way he got to that point was constant D, what's the word? Constant D. Constant development. Thank you. If y'all in my class, you all fail. Constant development. Or stand up in the corner. So constant development. Remember that. That's not only just for music. That's anything that you have a passion for. Keep developing. Keep listening. You know, so many stories I can tell about my young people and how they impact my life by telling me what they feel about the music. And again, like I said before, John Coltrane is the epitome of constant development because he never stopped. And the pinnacle of his inspiration came with his spirituality and love supreme. And we have to remember that. You know, it all comes together when it becomes real. People tell me, you know, Emmanuel Wilkins is the new John Coltrane. You know, and as a teacher and educator and historian, no, there's still more John Coltrane. But, just like Sonny Fortune, the inspiration that John gives is in this young man. So his music is going to be on that level. But it's going to be his voice. Thank you so much. And without further ado, I'd like to bring some young people. I'd like to bring some constant development young men to the stage. And the first one is a young man named Justin Griggs. And see, the great thing about my people who love me, they know. They say, Mr. Hines, we know you're going to mess up, but his name is this. They all know that. So, Justin Griggs is a young man that came in our program, got a full scholarship to Temple University. I think he's almost in his senior year. And the program with him is, and we're going to work on that, there's no more students. What I'm looking at starting a program, what we call emerging artists. And these emerging artists are going to take that next step. And I told Justin, I said, Justin, I want you to get a group. And he said, okay, Mr. Hines, I got it covered. In this group, we got Donovan Fields on drums. Jonathan Fields is a young man who worked with us at the Clef Club. He's a TA, teaching assistant, but he's much more than that. One of the things as a teaching assistant, you have to do this for young people. You want to be an inspiration, but you want to be a role model. So you got to carry yourself in a certain way if you're going to be a teacher one day, but you have to remember the young people you're working with are looking at you. They look at Mr. Hines, but Mr. Hines is an old guy, but they'll look at Donovan because he's close to their age, and that's the one who makes the difference. That's why I'm so proud of Donovan Fields on drums. The young man on trombone is a young man who came in our program during COVID. We didn't stop the program at the Philadelphia Clef Club. I didn't stop my program. What we did, we found a new model of doing it, presenting it. So we went to Zoom. And we met the kids at home and had them do different things. And one of the things we did, we had Henry there. And we started composing. Create your own music, what you're doing. So they started creating and writing and creating and come back and playing when we opened up. Well, Henry got with some other young people who are in our program, and they continue to constantly develop. Well, Henry won the Central Ellington Composers Competition at Lincoln Center. And I think he was 16 at the time. 15, he was 15 at the time. Now, you can imagine, I've gotten these calls twice. I got a call from a young man named Leo Steinreed. Okay, I got a call from Joseph Block. Both of those young men from the Clef Club Philadelphia won. So I have 3 winners who won the Central Ellington Composer Competition. 3 from Philadelphia. Give them a hand. 3. well, I get the call and said, Mr. Hines, guess what? I won. And I should say, well, oh man, I'm surprised. But I would say, I knew it, the fix was in. I knew you was going to do it. And I'm so happy that we should feel that way. When our young people go out and succeed like this, especially young men who've been doing the right things, we said, constant development, but in this environment where art is so important, we should expect great things. And that's why I'm so proud of Henry. And he just won a scholarship to, we think he's going to Juilliard, but he'll also have a chance to go to Berkeley. So he can go any place he wants. And to round that off, I have to have great teachers working with me, and the young man who's worked with me for the last 9 years is. But he brings a magic to our program. He brings a magic to our young people. So I'd like to present this group, Lovett Hines Legacy Group, right, with our inspirational player who's making this happen, our inspirational special guest, Mr. Bobby Zangle. Yeah.